Chemtrails. What are they? Who's doing it? And why? For years, I never took note until one day there were dozens of white lines, like this one here, in a crisscross pattern on a 45-degree angle in the sky above me. And throughout the day, I saw them begin to widen. Certain parts became hazy. They seemed like they tended to separate. But the cloud that became wide, it began to mesh with the other lines in the sky and form a blanket by sunset. And that day, I went home and I Googled and I began to educate myself on what a chemtrail is. And there were a couple of conversations online with a guy in Germany and a guy in the Middle East that I was crazy and these are contrails and this is the exhaust from the plane. And maybe by an airport, something like this would be a little bit similar. But this is on a global level, all over the world. And although Congress and officials denied this the first several years they were doing this, over the last 10 years, it has been undeniably a fact that they have come out. There is a Congress transcript that you can find online and read about them talking about stratospheric aerosol injections into the atmosphere. So what are they? They are nano-sized particles, particularly an abundance of aluminum. Aluminum is the most reflective metal that we have on Earth, and it's very cheap to harvest, and it's very light, so it will stay and float in the atmosphere. We don't know the potential fallout as far as when you think about pressure, what comes down to Earth, into our water, into our ground. What are we breathing? There's been no release of public harm or any kind of release of that nature. However, they have admitted that they are indeed spraying aluminum, barium, neurotoxins, polymers. And why? So they will say that it is to help with global warming. We are losing our clouds, and one of the reasons we're losing our clouds is all of the frequencies that we push through. We use our cell phones, radio, any kind of program that's going on, maybe in Alaska where they are pushing thousands of hertz into space, other science projects. But the problem with that is that it ionizes the cloud particles in our atmosphere. So therefore we have to generate or engineer clouds because we need clouds, because it will cause global warming as we are in without them, why things are drying up, why weather is drastically changing. Storms have been the worst that they've ever been. The animals that are dying in sea life, the acidity levels in the ocean are through the roof, due primarily to this project that has been going on for at least 20 years about. And who is doing it, you might want to know. And sorry to say, is our U.S. government. Now, I am not one to talk badly about any governments because we know corruption is thick in any government. However, Bill Gates, the U.S. Army, DARPA, they are the top funders of this project and research. It is a known fact that aluminum, particularly a nano-sized particle, when inhaled, goes directly into the brain and our bloodstream. And it is also a known fact that it is a neurotoxin, as well as the number one reason for the cause of Alzheimer's is aluminum buildup on the brain. That's where cobwebs on the brain comes from. So my question to you, and to leave you with to think about, is if New Mexico got 10 tons sprayed over it in 1 year, or less than 1 year, and the amount of tons we have sprayed, and when I say we, it is we, because all of that money does come from the masses. So we are just as guilty to allow this to go on. But what do you think happens when tons of this, and some of it falls down to Earth, in our water and in our air that we're breathing? What happens to those who are not sick, and to those who are already sick? and why Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and other neurological and respiratory diseases are up 400% in some areas like the United States. Do you think this could have anything to do with it?